All right, so this one, activity number 11, you have done that. Let's move to the next one, activity 12. So on the activity 12, let's have a look what we have here. That's for the tax savings. What should you do if a client asks you how much tax you will be able to save them for this year? I hope it will be recording. Let's see, hope for the best. Otherwise, maybe I have to record a little bit myself and I'll upload on the system. So hopefully we can carry on from here. Okay, let's try this activity 12, tax savings. It says, what should you do if a client asks you how much tax they can save? Now, obviously, it's a very common. This is very common question. You will have a lot of client. They'll ask you this question like, okay, how much tax you can save for me? And if they ask you this type of question, you will say, I cannot say this thing because I don't know. It depends on your organization structure. I cannot say like, oh, last year you pay tax 5,000. This year also you'll pay 5,000. No, I cannot say that. So obviously I cannot tell like I'll be able to save this amount of tax. I cannot say anything like that. So the answer will be the last one. I also tell them that you cannot provide such information. So I'll tell them, sorry, I cannot provide this type of information. All right, the next one we have 13, significant tax error. So let's have a look. What should you do if become aware of significant error in a tax return that you prepare and submitted for a client in a previous year? So basically, if there is a significant error on the last year and what you'll do for this year. So we have the first one, we have do nothing. That cannot be the answer. Correct the error by adjusting this year tax return. No, we cannot do that. Remember that if there is a error on the last year tax return, I will not be able to not be able to sort it or fix for this year. If there is a error for the last year, I have to tell the client, like speak to the HMRC. Remember that if there is an issue with the last year, if there is a significant mistake on the last year, I will not be able to submit or adjust the tax return. So I have to tell the client, I speak to the HMRC separately, and they will basically help you to sort it out. So that will be the last one. So tell the client to advise HMRC about the error. All right, the next one we have the whistleblowing. So let's have a look what we have here. Okay, so we have activity 4, that whistleblowing and the appropriate action. Says Anna is being put in a difficult situation. Her manager is deliberately concealing evidence of corruption and criminal activity. So basically, Anna is being put in a difficult situation. So Anna is the employee, and she is in a difficult situation because her manager is deliberately concealing evidence of corruption and the criminal activity. Answer the following question by selecting the appropriate option. So let's try to find it out. What we have here: the manager's behavior is in the interest of the public. Is it true or false? So that's false, isn't it? So obviously the manager behavior is not interest for the public because he's concealing some evidence. So you're going to say that is false. Then we have the next one. The next one is saying Anna's ability to work with the appropriate level of professional competence and due care is being compromised. Is it true or false? Anna's ability to work with the appropriate level of professional competence and due care being compromised? This is true, isn't it? So if she keep working with that company, her professional competence and due care will be compromised. Then the last one we have, providing she acts in good faith, she will be protected under the public interest disclosure. So if she disclosed this information, and obviously she will be protected under the public interest disclosure. Is this true or false? Obviously, if I don't have any choice, if I have to disclose, I will disclose, but that will not give me the breach of confidentiality. I'll be protected myself. So this is protected disclosure. This is also true. All right, let's move to the next one. Number B. So we have number B. Here it says answer the following question by selecting the appropriate question from the pick list below. What action should Anna take in this situation? Place the step in sequential order. We have action and have steps. Okay, the first one we have initial action. What will be my initial action? So I have a report externally, report internally, and we have a report in due course. So if I found something suspicious, uh, what will be my first step? So for example, if I see something is not going right, something they try to hide the evidence, so my first step will be initial action will be report internally where procedure exists. So report internally. So first I'm going to report internally. So report internal if there is a procedure. So for example, if they have a ethical committee, if they have a nominating officer, if they have someone, so they will give me the policy and procedure. It will tell me like if something happened like that, you have to inform to these people and that people. So initial action will be report internally. Then the next one will be if it doesn't work, then I have to report externally. If it doesn't work, then I report externally. So if further action needed, so first I always inform internally, remember that. So if any situation arise, first we have to report internally, and if it is not work, then we have to report externally. All right, I think this is the last question we have from this chapter. And obviously, like as we said, it's not like what we have done here. We're expecting the same question on the synoptic, because synoptic question will be precise. This book is like kind of for the knowledge purpose and dealing with the situation, how to deal, what type of threat, what is the fundamental principle, how can we put the safeguard. But obviously in the exam there will be few questions, so there will be the breakdown for the synoptic of four area. First they will ask you this MCQ question, then they give you the scenario means like it's not the scenario the way we see here. This scenario will be from the actual question. For example, from the partnership, from the sole trader, they'll give you a question and they will tell what type of ethical situation or what type of ethical behavior or anything is relevant to this question. And finally they might ask you to write some reports. So there is a few steps for the synoptic exam. As we already know, synoptic exam have a two part. So the first part will be for the ethics, and ethics you have a breakdown of 4 steps. We'll see when exactly do the synoptic practice. We'll see how the question will come in the exam. And the top of that, like the next step is the Excel. So obviously like our next step will be practice the Excel, and we'll try to see from next week some Excel formulas and other thing. And before we start the synoptic revision, we will be make ourselves ready for the ethics side and for the Excel side. Then we'll actually move on to the synoptic.